Coming up on 5 Minute News. Biden warns nation of fascist threat to democracy. Top Russian oil official falls from window in mysterious death. And in bid to fight climate change, Hawaii shuts down coal plant. It's Friday, September 2. I'm Anthony Davis. President Joe Biden spoke candidly in a primetime address on Thursday about the extreme ideology of Donald Trump and his adherents, threatening the very foundation of our republic, as he summoned Americans of all stripes to help counter what he sketched as dark forces within the Republican Party trying to subvert democracy. In his speech at Philadelphia's Independence Hall, Biden unleashed the trappings of the presidency in an unusually strong and sweeping indictment of Trump and what he said has become the dominant strain of the opposition party. His broadside came barely 2 months before Americans head to the polls in bitterly contested midterm elections that Biden calls a crossroads for the nation. Biden, who largely avoided even referring to the former guy by name during his first year in office, has grown increasingly vocal in calling out Trump personally. Biden strains to balance his criticism with an appeal to more traditional Republicans to make their voices heard. Meanwhile, GOP leaders swiftly accused him of only furthering political divisions. White House officials said the sharp tenor of Biden's remarks reflected his mounting concern about Trump's allies' ideological proposals and relentless denial of the nation's 2020 election results. Equality and democracy are under assault in the US, Biden charged, casting Trump and his backers in the GOP as a menace to the nation's system of government, its standing abroad, and its citizens' way of life. Reveal Maganov, the chairman of Russia's second-largest oil producer, Lukoil, died on Thursday after falling from a hospital window in Moscow, becoming the latest in a series of businessmen to meet with sudden, unexplained deaths. Two sources confirmed reports by several Russian media that the 67-year-old had plunged to his death, but the circumstances surrounding his fall were unclear. Russian state news agency TASS reported the death as a suicide, citing a law enforcement source. It quoted the source as saying Maganov had been admitted to hospital after suffering a heart attack and was also taking antidepressants. Meanwhile, three sources, based on their close acquaintance with Maganov, claim they did not believe he would have killed himself. Lukoil is a private company that competes with Russian state energy giant Rosneft. It said in a statement that Maganov had passed away following a serious illness. At least 6 other Russian businessmen, most with ties to the energy industry, have died suddenly in unclear circumstances in the past few months. The deaths were all in Russia, apart from that of Sergei Protasenya, a former top manager of Russia's largest liquefied natural gas producer Novatek, who was found with the bodies of his wife and daughter at a villa in Spain. Unusually among Russian companies, Lukoil took a public stand over Moscow's intervention in Ukraine. In a March 3rd statement, the company's board of directors expressed its concern over the tragic events in Ukraine and called for the soonest possible end to armed conflict via negotiations. The last bits of ash and greenhouse gases from Hawaii's only remaining coal-fired power plant slipped into the environment this week when the state's dirtiest source of electricity burned its final pieces of fuel. The last coal shipment arrived in the islands at the end of July, and the AES Corporation coal plant closed on Thursday after 30 years in operation. The facility produced up to 1/5 of the electricity in Oahu, the most populous island in a state of nearly 1.5 million people. It really is about reducing greenhouse gases, the Hawaii governor said in an interview. And this coal facility is one of the largest emitters. Taking it offline means we'll stop the 1.5 million metric tons of greenhouse gases that were emitted annually. Like other Pacific islands, the Hawaiian chain has suffered the cascading impacts of climate change. The state is experiencing the destruction of coral reefs from bleaching associated with increased ocean temperatures, rapid sea level rise, more intense storms, and drought that is increasing the state's wildfire risk. In 2020, Hawaii's legislature passed a law banning the use of coal for energy production at the start of 2023. Hawaii has mandated a transition to 100% renewable energy by 2045 and was the first state to set such a goal. But critics say that while ending the state's dirtiest source of energy is ultimately a good move, doing so now is not. Renewable sources meant to replace coal energy are not yet online because of permitting delays, contract issues, and pandemic-related supply chain problems. So the state will instead burn more costly oil that is only slightly less polluting than coal. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.